Well, at least opposing guards didn't kill us. Okay, well, Rutgers loses at home in what many thought was a winnable game, 80-72, as the Huskies of Washington dog sled us in a game that wasn't as close as the final score might have suggested. And it's Washington's first win at Rutgers. Um, but at least opposing guards didn't light us up and kill us. But center Hans Steinbach did, going for 24 and 16. Boy, for those who think Ogboli is kind of like this physical presence and aggressive rebounder, not so much. While the one guard that did hurt us, Wesley Yates, scored 19, as Washington goes all Tom Thibodeau, as did Minnesota, wherein the Washington scorers, unlike Minnesota, didn't do all of the scoring, but almost all of the scoring, as they score 70 of their 79 points. It was 79-72, not 80-72. So in another game where you think we have some things going for us, shorter rotation. And in the case with Minnesota, they were missing some guys. You thought there were opportunities for us to win, and it just didn't flesh out that way. And if any of you watch, Richard Kent on X, and I like, he has some good insights at times when he made predictions for us to beat Minnesota for the things that we talked about. And when he came out to suggest that we had pretty good opportunities against Washington, I was a little bit worried. And as it turns out, we do lose to Washington, who is now 14-14, 6-11 in the Big Ten, while Rutgers falls to 11-17 and 4-13, and at best, we're looking at a 13-18 kind of season, which is where a lot of people thought our ceiling was going to be. So those people might be right. I was kind of hoping to get to the 14-15 win range, which would not have been a big ask considering the schedule and how the bottom third of the Big Ten is playing. Nonetheless, it's not fun going through these types of recaps and losses in depth. There's usually a basket of challenges that when we don't do these things well, and we've talked about this a lot, it's not going to be a good night for us, although we have improved in some of those areas from past Steve Michael teams, like free throw shooting. We're just better at it. There were times when we were in the high 50s and low 60s, in low 20s, in three-point shooting, although we're still not great at three-point shooting. Some of those things have improved, and our play usually evolves around a few things that when we don't do well, it doesn't wind up good for us. And right now, it's shooting, and particularly three-point shooting and defending three-point shooting. Washington, like Minnesota, they wound up taking a lead a few minutes into the game, and they never looked back. They went on a 10-0 run before they go up at the break 36-27. How many first halves are we going to have where we score less than 30 points, 23 points, 25 points, 20? I mean, talk about a tale of two cities and a schizophrenic team that at least, I guess we adjust at halftime, but when you're always behind by that much, I guess there's nowhere to go but up. Nonetheless, okay, let's get to it. Lathan Somerville. No, Brian Fonseca. Somerville didn't have a big game, his biggest game of the year, or best performance of the season for his homecoming. To quote, the former Rutgers starter helped Washington earn a 79-72 victory over the Scarlet Knights in Piscataway. that further separated these teams in the Big Ten standings and exposed how much head coach Steve Pikiell's team is struggling at center without the Illinois native. Yeah. He had 8 points and 1 rebound in 25 minutes and in foul trouble with 5 fouls. There probably isn't a guy on the Rutgers beat that has worse takes than Fonseca. I'm sorry. I try to keep, he does have, sometimes it's not painful to listen to him, but other times it's just, I don't know what he's thinking. Not exactly a welcome homecoming for Somerville. And I know some of the guys that watched the program were like, good riddance. He's chasing the bag. He had 1 foot out the door since he got here. But where would we be had he not chased the bag? First of all, he'd be getting more playing time for sure. So it's kind of a short-sighted decision on his part. But we absolutely would have more offensive production. Not much on the defensive side. No, not much as far as a rim protector and a physical presence in the paint to help bolster the defense. But it probably would be a better production, a better rotation from a production standpoint, because we're just not getting any out of that position. Instead of Dortch and Ogboli, maybe a Somerville Ogboli, maybe a 3-headed monster kind of thing would have been more productive. So once again, shooting was the issue against Washington. They shot 50% from the floor. We shot 39%. And, once again, in the first half, it was lower than that. It was low 30s. Now, Washington only shot 37% from 3, but we shot 21%. We're back to the old Rutgers teams. So even though Washington, 39% is pretty good. For us, it's great. But it was good enough to be able to keep Rutgers at bay. And so, all right, some production and observations. And, we shot, and I talked about a little earlier, we're getting better at free throw shooting compared to old Steve Pikiell teams. Sometimes painful. 72%, that's solid for us. And we attempted 32 free throws. Wow, made 23. We actually had less turnovers with 6 compared to 9 for Washington, and our fast break points, 19 to 18 over Washington. Washington did out-rebound us 34-29, so not a huge difference there. So, a lot of things in the box score couldn't predict how this game would have turned out, with the exception of how well Washington shot and how poorly we shot. But nonetheless, when we talk about Rutgers production, Lino breaking out, 3rd game in a row, double-digit points. And a lot of people early on liked Lino and his upside. Some didn't because they felt he didn't have the scoring chops. But I don't know. He's starting to prove those people wrong. 8 led Rutgers, 18 points, 6 for 9 shooting, 6 for 6 from the free throw line in 27 minutes. So good on him. Hopefully he winds up staying at Rutgers and has a long-term vision where he develops into a solid and above-average Big Ten guard. Darren Buchanan wakes up from a multi-game sleep. He scores 17 points, 2 rebounds, and assists in 27 minutes. Tariq did not lead Rutgers for once. Tough night for him, 14 points. But it was on 5 for 16 shooting. So he had one of those volume shooting nights where things weren't going down in his 32 minutes. But he was 3 for 3 from the free throw line, and he is now at 89.9% free throw shooter. Come on, Tariq, let's get over 90%. Boy, we haven't had one of those in a while. Did Cam Spencer wind up at over 90? I know he was in the low 90s and top 10 in the nation for a while, but I think he came back. He might have been just below. So hopefully Tariq can get it over 90% free throw shooting, which for a Rutgers players is astonishing. J. Mike, fairly productive in his 32 minutes, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Caden Powers, his production's fading a little bit, 3 points in 13 minutes. Haroon Zeno reverts to the mean, 2 points in 16 minutes after a couple double-digit games. Talked about how he's either disappears or he gets double digits. Badalau had 2 points and limited playing time. But, our front court struggled. And, they had a total of 7 points and 11 rebounds between Ogboli, Dylan Grant, Bryce Dortch, and Chris Newilly. That's not going to get it done in the Big Ten. So, it's off to Maryland and Michigan State before coming home and finishing at the rack against Penn State. If we beat Penn State and or Maryland, we avoid the Big Ten Basemant. I think we're 2 games ahead of Penn State in the loss column. So I don't know. Is that a thing? We avoid the Big Ten Basement. I guess many thought we would have wound up in the basement with single-digit wins and maybe no Big Ten wins. So I guess it's something, maybe. But going forward, we're going to need consistent shooter. We're going to need a wing defender and a rim protector that is somewhat competent, on offense. Look, you get a 10 and 10 kind of guy, a 10 and 12 kind of guy, clogging up the middle. That'll certainly be able to help us be at least a middling Big Ten program. So that's it. Not a lot of happiness this week. Hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Maybe a little bit of more snow coming in the near future. The never-ending winter. Nonetheless, everybody have a good week, and we'll see you the next time.